Hey Eagles fans, what's going on? Another episode of Eagles Latest coming your way. I'm your host, Cory Nidoh. Well, before we get started, make sure to subscribe and like the channel. And for those who have done it already, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And appreciate those who have commented on the last episode's video. Make sure to drop a comment below on this one. Your thoughts on the topics we're going to discuss today. Your thoughts on the Dallas game coming up. Favorite favorite game you've been to, whatever you want. Let's make this the community where we can all share our favorite memories and thoughts on our favorite team. So with that said, let's start with the injury report for the Eagles that came out yesterday. The one for today won't be out until later after the team practices, but there were some heavy hitters on this injury report for the Eagles. Of course, Lane Johnson, we knew he's going to miss at least a month with that Liz Frank foot fracture. Say that 10 times fast. Hopefully he is only going to be out for 4 weeks. The reports are indicating, though, that they're still waiting for the swelling to go down to get some more imaging and testing done to see if he will require surgery. Keep your fingers crossed. If he needs surgery, that's pretty much Lane's season, unfortunately, and that's going to be a big blow. It's already a big blow for the Eagles as they're going to be without one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. Cam Jurgens also on the injury report. He suffered a concussion late in that game on Sunday when Brett Toth came in. He's got to pass the concussion protocols. I don't know if he'll be ready to play. I would be quite surprised if he clears and everything's going to be good. He will more than likely be out this week. So you're looking at 2 of the starting 5 offensive linemen for the Philadelphia Eagles out in this divisional game against the Dallas Cowboys team that since that week 1 meeting back in early September in South Philly where the Eagles held on 24-20. This is a much improved defensive front, although they did again trade Micah Parsons earlier in the year. Jerry Jones trying to piecemeal this together, but they've got a handful of guys that are contributing. And like the Eagles, they don't have one true pass rusher or one prolific guy that can just sack the quarterback like a Trey Hendrickson or a guy like that. But they do have some talented players. Justin Houston's on this team. He's got 4.5 sacks. He leads the Dallas defense in that department. Kenny Clark, the big defensive tackle, who was the main trade piece in that Parsons trade to Green Bay, he has 3 sacks. You've got Fowler Jr. with 2. Jadeveon Clowney's on this team now. He has 2. Quinnen Williams, who they just got from the New York Jets at the deadline, he had a sack and a half against the Las Vegas Raiders in that convincing win for Dallas on Monday night. So there are a handful of guys that are getting to the quarterback for the Cowboys, and right now they have to like their chances against 2 backup offensive linemen for the Eagles. Now, they're not just any backups. I should probably clarify that. Obviously, we've seen Brett Toth. He's no Cam Jurgens. Held his own against the Giants. He's had a bit of a roller coaster season this year, filling in for Cam. Meanwhile, Lane Johnson, an all-pro, an all-world right tackle, if you will, a Hall of Famer, and that's going to be really tough to replace. But Fred Johnson will be up to the challenge. Nick Sirianni said that he has a lot of faith in Fred Johnson. He's shown that he can handle himself. We all know how well he played against the Bengals last season, and now the reacquisition of Fred Johnson is just magnified by 10 because Howie Roseman realized that this team needed more depth at the offensive line, and thank goodness that Howie Roseman made this deal to reacquire Fred Johnson after they didn't sign him back after the Super Bowl. So Fred Johnson's going to step in. He's going to try and become a hero here and really make sure there's no drop-off on that offensive line that, again, has just been struggling with consistency and the injuries, more so with Cam Jurgens just trying to battle his way back from the injuries he's been dealing with. And, of course, Lane Johnson now, who missed part of another game on Sunday. And with that Liz Frank foot fracture, he is most likely out for at least a month, if not more. So we'll see how the Eagles will adjust accordingly against a different-looking defensive front from Dallas, although with that, they also have a lot more film to digest and to game prep with. So it's a little bit of a different scenario on both ends of the spectrum there from week 1 to now this matchup on Sunday. With that said, we're going to switch over to the defensive side of the football, and I want to talk about Moro Ojomo, the 7th round pick out of Texas. He really impressed me on Sunday. He had 2 of the 5 fourth down stops against the Lions, and he's leading this Eagles team with 4 sacks. Able to speak with him post-game, and he's just beyond well-spoken, really calm, and he's just super excited to be on this defense. I just posted a video clip of an answer that he gave us in the locker room on Sunday. He was asked how this defense was able to stop the Lions on all 5 fourth downs, and he basically said it just starts in practice. This is a defense that really enjoys spending time together. They're dancing, they're focused, they're practicing hard, and he said, we're young, we're hungry, and we want to be great. And I thought that was a fantastic line from Ojomo, and it's true. They are young, they are hungry, they look the part, and they want to be great, and right now they have turned the corner, and they have been one of the best defenses in the league over the last couple of weeks. So it's all coming together with Moro Ojomo, and I asked him about the pass rush because they were able to get to Goff a couple times, and similar to that Green Bay game, and of course that Super Bowl win against Kansas City where it just seemed every single pass, every single drop back, Goff, Jordan Love, Mahomes, those 3 games in particular, that pocket was just swallowing them up, and there was nowhere for them to move. And he said it actually should be credited to the success that they've been having in stopping the run. He said the rush stop helps lead to the successful pass rush because the teams that they're going against now are in more predictable passing downs. They're in more predictable passing calling plays where, hey, we can't get anything on the run, we're going to air it out. And this defense is now pinning its ears back and rushing the quarterback. And again, it also helps that they added a guy like Jalen Phillips. That's a huge piece, a huge addition at the trade deadline that just doesn't come around too often. And Howie Roseman was able to use that extra 3rd-round pick that he has, that draft capital, to get him away from Miami. And Phillips has been nothing but sensational in his first 2 games as a Philadelphia Eagle. So really exciting stuff. Check out those interviews on my X account at Cory_Nidoh. And if you don't know about Ojomo, I really suggest you find some great stories that are out there about him. I mean, this is a guy who was born in Nigeria. His family came over stateside. They moved to Texas. He attended the University of Texas at the age of 16. Just puts it in perspective of how smart he is and how talented he is. And it's just a really cool story to see Ojomo, who started to flash last year, made some big plays during the playoffs, now earning his stripes here as a D tackle for the Eagles, and also proving Howie Roseman right by letting Milton Williams get a big contract. Everybody was worried about that, but Ojomo is playing just as good, if not better, than Williams at this point. So again, Howie Roseman rolling the dice, and he's getting some chips back in his pocket as Ojomo is playing, and he's going to look to cash in as well. So an all-around great relationship with Ojomo and Howie Roseman and everybody in between, and it has certainly panned out nicely so far for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sticking with that defense, I want to ask you, is this the new identity of the Philadelphia Eagles here in 2025? Because I think we are all still looking and asking, what is this identity for this team? Last year we knew what it was. Running the football. Didn't matter when, didn't matter where, didn't matter how. They were going to run the ball down the defense's throats. This year they haven't had nearly that same success. They haven't had that great of success passing the football. So on offense, there really is no identity. Kick it over to the defense, and the boys are balling out. I mean, they are looking good. They have been phenomenal. They held the 2nd highest scoring offense in the Lions to 9 points. Unheard of. They haven't been held to single digits in over 3 seasons. And then you've got them playing well against Green Bay in really what was an ugly slogfest of a defensive battle. Jordan Love and the Packers didn't look good either, particularly on offense. But this is an defense that really is starting to culminate and turn a corner. And I just love the dynamic of this defense under the veteran defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is who he is. He is a longtime veteran coordinator, had some stints as a head coach, and he just wants to call defense. And he's calling defense for one of the most athletic and talented units in the NFL. And this is a guy well into his 60s, and it does not matter. These young guys are gravitating to Vic Fangio, and it is a perfect recipe for this team. Now, Vic Fangio got some flack in Miami a couple of years ago. There was reports coming out left and right that he wasn't respected. He didn't treat the players well. They couldn't relate to him. Well, the Eagles said, we don't care. He's our guy, and he helps lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl title in his first season. So it has been a perfect marriage with the Eagles and Vic Fangio, and I think he is starting to once again dial it in here with this defense where everybody's understanding their assignments, talking to the players in the locker room, and they're telling us we're playing complementary football at all 3 levels of the defense, the line, the linebackers, and the secondary, and that is what you need to have a consistent and talented defense. And right now, that might be the calling card for this team this year. Jalen Hurts, offense, score as many points as you can, obviously, but you give us 24, maybe 27, we'll be all right. So we'll see how this pans out as the season continues to roll on. They do have a pretty tough task against Dallas. I know everybody likes to make fun of Dak Prescott, but he is once again slinging it. He's having a really good season. CeeDee Lamb is good. George Pickens is good. Javonte Williams, the running back, is really solid. They got a good tight end as well. So it's not going to be a walk in the park when they go down to Dallas on Sunday. So we'll see how this defense fares on the road. The Eagles fans will travel. It'll almost sound like an Eagles game, I'm sure. But nonetheless, the defense still has to game plan for a pretty explosive Cowboys offense. Last but not least, we are going to talk a little bit about the offensive side of the football, but it's the OC being named as one of the potential head coach candidates next year on NFL.com. If you didn't see this story, it's on the website for the league. Tom Pelissero concocted a list of 24 young potential head coach candidates, and Kevin Patullo makes the list, which is a bit head-scratching because if we're following along all season, most of us are not happy with how this offense looks. Most of us do not like the vanilla play calling. Most of us aren't a fan of how it doesn't seem like changes are really being made, although he talks in circles at his press conferences and doesn't really give concrete, substantive answers. And I don't know if he has the answers. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but it takes an art to call plays. Some guys can do it, some can't. That's why there's a lot of head coaches that don't do it in the NFL, because it's not an easy thing to do. But nonetheless, Kevin Patullo has been listed on this group of 24. I think the one positive that really stands out with what Patullo has been able to do, and you do have to give him some credit for this, is the red zone offense efficiency when it comes to scoring touchdowns. The Eagles still lead the league with an NFL best 75% red zone touchdown percentage, and that is one of the big reasons why they are winning so many games, because they're cashing in, finding pay dirt, and the defense is holding the opponents to field goals, and that at the end of the game usually is a big difference maker, and it's the reason why the Eagles are also one of the best teams when it comes to one-score games here in 2025. So some food for thought there. Will Kevin Patullo find his way to be a head coach after the season? We will see. Of course, Kellen Moore was the OC last year. He's the head man down in New Orleans with the Saints. And then you had Shane Steichen as well before Kellen Moore. Of course, he's leading the Indianapolis Colts, who's having a really great year in the AFC South, led by Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, who should be the front horse for MVP, by the way. So we'll see what happens. These OCs, the DCs, when you're on a really good team, more times than not, the bottom feeders looking for a head coach will start interviewing guys like this because of their stature, because of their experience, and the success they're having. So we'll see if Kevin Patullo leaves and Jalen Hurts would have a 7th different OC in 7 years. It's really an incredible lineage there for Jalen Hurts, and that's a whole other topic for a whole nother episode. But that will do it for us here for this version of Eagles Latest. We'll keep an eye on that injury report. Again, Dickerson and Jurgens both on it. Also, Jalen Phillips was a limited participant as well with a shoulder injury, so we'll keep that monitored as well and keep you in the loop as we get updates throughout the week. As always, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget to subscribe, like the channel, and tell your friends about Eagles Latest, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.